Let's touch upon something we were discussing a little bit before this was, I think that speaks to kind of the environment we're in now, obviously with the pandemic, everyone's working remotely, but then more towards just, I love what you just said right now. So the potential for every person, every agent, right? Like no matter what the obstacles are, you guys are there to kind of help. So what sort of obstacles do you see now, whether it's pandemic related or if we get past this in a few years? What about, let's say, technology as a disruptor? Obviously, Zillow is now their own brokerage. Open Door that just went public recently are trying to replace agents. And trust me, I'm in the camp of agents are still almost, you have to have an agent in transactions because what's going on is it's not like the AIs or robots are selling real estate, it's people. So it's more of a people business. I think a lot of people that are outside the industry doesn't understand that it's the relationships and the people that drive everything in real estate. So
well, I also think it's having that accurate market knowledge though too, right? Whether I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm a water heater away from being able to pay my mortgage,
right,
or I'm somebody that's buying luxury, I want you to tell me how this market impacts me. I want you to know exactly what's going on in my life, and I want you to be the solution.
right.
And so I always teach people that you need to be the solution. You need to be the solution for whoever's in front of you. And if the more accurate market knowledge you have, the more knowledge you have of the person that's in front of you, so that I do my homework on that person, and the more I can mix those two together, the better I'm going to be able to serve you. I'll give you a great example. I spoke a couple years ago I speak a couple hundred times a year, and I spoke a couple of years ago. I was in DC. I was actually speaking at HUD, and I also had this opportunity to speak with a lot of agents and brokers, primarily from our organization that time. And I had a gentleman come up to me that was fairly new. He had been in the business about a year and a half. And he said, I have a listing appointment tonight that is a really big deal. And I'm the fourth person going in. What would you suggest to me? And I was talking about Investing in Opportunities Act. I was talking about opportunity zones as part of what I was talking about, and the 30,000-foot view, and where people's circumstances were taking them, because people move because of their circumstances, right? We're seeing this onslaught, this rush, because 43.7% of people are going to be able to telecommute. Right. And so, they're making choices based on that. But at this point in time, I said, first and foremost, Google this person, friend them on Facebook, connect with them on LinkedIn, and do as much intel on the human being as you possibly can along with the property. Right. And when you go in, don't run in with a CMA and say, but I can do this. Yeah. Have a conversation and find out what's really important to them. What are your real estate dreams? Where do you see yourself in the next 1, 3, 5 years? This gentleman actually owned a business. When do you plan on retiring? This in his 70s. When do you plan on retiring? Do you have an exit strategy? No pun intended. Do you have an exit strategy when it comes to selling that? Retiring where you are right now? Right. He just went through the whole entire list, right? Asking him questions, and just one question led to another question by what he came back with an answer. And he found out that this gentleman wanted to sell his company within 1 to 3 years. He just wanted to know what his property was worth because he didn't owe any money on it anymore. And he didn't know if it was the right time, like had he maxed out, and on what he was going to get for return on investment. Should he go move somewhere else and take this gain while he had the opportunity? Right. And he wanted to move a couple states south of there. And so he said, you know what, I'm going to recommend that you don't list your property right now because properties are still going up in value. Let's have a conversation every month about this property, but where you want to move and retire, those properties are going up in value. I would absolutely buy something there now. If you want, we can do short-term rentals. If not, you can use it as a second home until you move. And if you like that idea, right? Always making sure that he was comfortable. Right. And here's what happened. He ended up listing his property 9 months later. He made $150,000 more than he would have. All 3 other people came in with an instant CMA, right? Whether that person was a lead and not a human being, or that was just what they were taught and what they did automatically. He bought a second home that this gentleman ended up with a referral in the Carolinas. He bought a second home in the Carolinas. He taught him short-term rentals. He paid the property off in 2 years with short-term rentals. Wow. And because it was a very desirable location, he made $150 on this property, and he helped him to buy 5 investment properties, and his net worth was $2.4 million more 2 years later than it
Wow.
would have been if he had gone with plan A. So,
CMA first, right?
and I'm not saying it happens that way every single time.
Sure.
There's sometimes when it's just when people are really struggling, and you can actually help them leave with a little bit of dignity and still end up okay. They're going to remember that forever.
Okay.
But it's me paying attention to what your circumstances are and what it is that you have for wants and needs. The more they do that, those people are going to shout from the rooftops, oh no, you got to deal with this person. You're not going to believe the service you're going to get and how much knowledge they have.
Right.
And you're going to have that opportunity. It may be that you have, and understanding what your skill set is too. If you're an unbelievable math whiz, dealing with investors would make sense, right?
Right.
But back to the disruptors, this is my belief in how real estate should be done. You should have accurate market knowledge. You should know where the 30,000-foot view is so that you can pay attention to trends.
Mm-hmm.
You should know where the 2,000-foot view, because that's your individual state or province. So you know that there's trends that are happening here because they're probably going to happen there.
Right.
You need to know that street level view, and you need to have a perspective on your consumer, understanding them, and you need to have a perspective on yourself on where you have strengths.
Right.
You shouldn't be selling the way everyone else sells. I don't sell ever, and I've broken world record selling. I find out what's really important to you, and then I find out if our business philosophies match.
Right.
And you're going to want to work with me or you're not, and I'm okay either way, because you want to make sure that you're dealing with people that are going to be the culture that you want, right? For your environment, the environment that you want.
Right.
But we've always had about 10%, 90% of consumers want a trusted advisor, right?
Right.
And they're not going to have trust if they don't have a relationship with you.
Right.
But I believe that it's much more the solution than it is an advisor.
Right.
That you're really finding out what's going on in their world, and you're going to give them solutions so that they can have what it is that they really desire. Even if that's telling a first-time home buyer, you know what, kid, you're going to have to move into a condo first.
Right.
But it will get your foot in the door and help you to build some equity. And it's the only way you're going to have ownership. And this is going to be the difference in the trajectory of your life and your wealth building. If you pay attention to this plan, I'm going to listen, right?
Right.
Because that makes sense to me. And being aware of all the trends and all the changes, it's not just looking at charts and graphs. Data is great. I'm an information junkie. I read 300 books a year. You can't take me away from information. But I still have to tell you how that's pertinent to you, how that impacts you, right? And what's really important to you. So will we have disruptors out there? We're always going to have disruptors out there. And we've had, it doesn't matter if it was somebody that had cardboard nailed and said, we'll buy your house, where investors did that all the time before. There's always going to be about 10% of the market that's going to go in different directions, right? But when you treat somebody like a lead and not like a human being, when you treat somebody like a lead and you're just focused on selling that house and the right pictures instead of what's right for that family or what's right for that individual.
Right.
You're not giving them the whole picture because you don't know the whole picture. This is the biggest investment most people will ever make. So do I believe they're going to get some of the market? Sure. There'll always be AI that I want to buy something for short money so that I can turn around and resell it somewhere else.
Right.
They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart, right? And there'll always be some of these things, and there'll always be new competitors that come out, and hopefully that forces everybody to bring their A game.
Yes.
What technology has done, though, is it's provided enough information so that if I'm a consumer, because I want speed, transparency, and I want you to be the solution, I'm going to be able to see whether you know your job or not.
Right.
I'm going to be able to see if you have that accurate market knowledge. I'm going to be able to see whether you're trying to play your way along. So people are going to have to really work on their skill set. That's going to be incredibly important. Is there room for some of these other things? Sure. But here's the biggest thing that, for an example on disruption, I can disrupt small things. Amazon books, right?
Yeah.
I can order stuff on Amazon and it's at my doorstep tomorrow morning or maybe tonight, depending on where I live. And I can get that instant gratification. And, I give out probably more than 1,000 books a year. I read about 300. Amazon's good for me, right? But I'm not going to buy a house through Amazon because my family's going to be in that house. And I want to know what the atmosphere is. And I want to know what the lifestyle is there. And I want to know if I'm going to get a return on investment. And I want to know any and all of the little quirks. And I want to know that you're going to be smart enough to tell me that's too far away. That's too far of a commute. And you're going to hate this in about 3 weeks, right? It doesn't matter what that answer is back, right? I'm going to want to know what that information is. And that's going to be incredibly important to me, because I want people to be part of this, part of the solution. That takes somebody that can actually help me. But here's the biggest picture to have when we look at disruptors. Uber could disrupt the cab business because it's a small ticket item. Amazon can disrupt vitamins and books because it's typically a small ticket item, right? And it's something that we buy often, right? I hit an automatic, the same vitamins show up.
It's not as important where it's coming from. We've already made a buying decision. We just need it more efficient.
That's right. Yeah. Speed. So small ticket items that are fast. Big ticket items that don't sell often, that's a very hard industry to disrupt. Because you're used to having this trusted advisor, you're used to having somebody that has that accurate market knowledge, that understands everything about this community and understands everything about me so that they can pay attention. A numbers game person that's trying to disrupt something rapidly is not going to be able to do that. So really good financial advisors are not going to be easy to disrupt. Can I use Acorn and all the other stuff? Yeah, it's $50 a month. Whatever you're going to do, who cares? It's money that I would light on fire and I would eat that much in sushi anyway, right? So I would do that. But for my future wealth, I'm going to deal with somebody that knows what they're talking about. I'm going to deal with somebody that knows what they're doing, because I'm going to be in this for the long haul, right? Warren Buffett, I'm going to buy these things and hold. Right? Really expensive divorce attorneys. Hopefully you're not getting divorced very often in your life. It's a tough thing to disrupt too, because there's so many moving parts, right? And it's personal. Real estate is the same. Now, as an investor, I'd buy something sight unseen as long as the math worked, right? If I'm just investing and the math works, I might do that. But getting to know that person and getting to know that individual, most people are going to move. It's gotten less often right now, right? Once every 9 to 11 years, unless you're in a fast-paced area. And I'm not going to buy that often enough so that it's not really something as easy to disrupt. And I'm giving you so much of my money. I want to get a return on my investment. You know, we have some panic times right now where we're selling everything that comes on the market, and you know, it's all going over asking, but that's a rare segment of the market. That's not the whole entire market of going through all these waves and understanding all the other pieces of the equation. So it's a tough industry to disrupt. Most of the places that you're seeing that are disruptors with the high tech, most of them haven't been profitable yet.
No, not at all. They're just funding at this point.
How long is it going to be before the investors or the stockholders or the shareholders want to get some money back and get a return on their investment? So they're not going to keep lighting money on fire. At some point in time, they're going to want to get a return. Will some of these people get little pockets? Yeah, there'll be some that'll get little pockets, and there'll be some areas, the areas that Zillow picked. Those are fast moving markets. Those are great rental markets. Those are, you know, great for those ideas, but still they're not going to have, when they have a listing, they don't want the people that don't have that experience and expertise. This is for the people that are putting in an instant offer, right? So there's plenty of room. I like the fact that we get competitors that come in, because it forces you to get up and get out of bed and bring your A game, right? And competition is healthy. It's a good thing for keeping everybody alive. This getting into the real estate industry is too easy. And it's different in every single state, but it's too easy for what you represent. Where I live, it's 40 hours to get your real estate license and represent the biggest investment most people make 1 week. But it's 1,500 hours to be able to cut somebody's hair.
Good comparison.
And I think that's a little bizarre. Right? And you know, when you look at a lot of the real estate professionals, you know, if you haven't sold more than a couple properties a year, you're probably not in that group.
You're just there. You're licensed.
You're not part of that club. You know, if we went to the emergency room today and I had to get an IV and she said, "Oh, I haven't done that yet this year," I'm stabbing myself.
Exactly.
Right? I think I know where my vein is before you. I get blood a lot. Okay, we're good. I wouldn't do that. Right? So